One of the original 8 teams established in 1946 was the Celtics, and still to this day, the Celtics hold the record for the most recorded victories and are also just one of 2 teams with 17 championships under their belt. Pretty impressive, right? Obviously, there was a lot of talent involved in getting there, but which players led the pack? And in which department? Let's take a closer look to the leader of each major category. First up, in no particular order, who leads the scoreboard for points? For many other organizations, the top 3 Celtics scorers would hold the career record for points scored. That's how good they are. For the foreseeable future, it appears as though John Havlicek will continue to be in the lead in this area, despite being retired for quite some time now. Havlicek has averaged at least 20 points per game during his playing career for 8 consecutive seasons. During the 1970-71 season, he scored a career-high 28.9 points per game. In total, he scored 26,395 points. And now, taking the second spot is Paul Pierce with 24,021 points. During his time with the Celtics, there were growing expectations that Pierce could eventually hold this record. Instead, he missed out by 2,300 points. Arguably, Pierce could have very much surpassed Havlicek had he not been dealt to the Nets. And Pierce scored at least 20 points per contest in 8 of his last 10 seasons. And there were only 2 seasons where his point average fell short with 29.5 and then 19.6. Taking the third spot is Larry Bird with a total of 21,791 points. While Bird's career was shorter than Havlicek and Pierce's, he still managed to end on a very strong note. Secondly, which Celtic players hold the crown for assists? Well, one of the first outstanding point guards was Bob Cousy. In the 1950s, Cousy was the best playmaker in the league while he was a member of the Celtics. Between 1953 and 1960, he was the league leader in assists per game for 8 consecutive seasons. While he never had a season with more than 10 assists on average, he never had fewer than 7 assists per game. His 9.5 assists per game career high came during the 1959-1960 campaign. Overall, Cousy had 6,945 assists during his time with the Celtics. In second place, Havlicek averaged 4-point assists per game with the Celtics, but his 1,270 career games helped him bolster his figures. Havlicek's best run of success occurred between 1971 and 1972, when he averaged 7.5 assists per game, bringing him to an overall total of 6,114 assists. Regarding Larry Bird, who takes the third spot, he spent 13 seasons in the NBA and had a career assist average of 6.3 assists per game. However, his best season came when he averaged 6.6 assists back in the 66-67 season, bringing in a total of 5,695 assists. Next up, let's talk blocks. Robert Parrish takes the top spot of blocks. Parrish, one of the best rim protectors in history, twice averaged 2 blocks per game while playing the Celtics. And with 1.9 blocks in 1983 and 1.8 blocks in 87, he just missed the mark. During the 1980-81 season, he had the best average of 2.6 blocks per game with the Celtics, totaling 1,703 blocks. It seems only fitting that Bird's career high in steals and Parrish's career high in blocks occurred during the Celtics NBA championship run. Coming in second is Kevin McHale with 1,690 blocks. At the beginning of his career, McHale was frequently regarded as the team's 6th man. In 2 seasons, he could still average 2.3 blocks per game, and McHale averaged 2.8 blocks and 2.2 blocks throughout 2 seasons after taking on a more prominent starting position. However, the older he got, McHale fell back to a 6th-man position when he became older, averaging 2.1 blocks per game. But had McHale stayed for just one more season, he most likely would have broken that record, which would have been a big achievement not just for McHale, but the Celtics as a whole. Another major statistic, who leads the rebounds? Well, Wilt Chamberlain is the all-time best rebounder in the NBA, but coming in very close is the Celtics' Bill Russell, with a total of 21,620 rebounds. Being the second best of all time is one thing, but Russell will always hold the title for the team's leader in rebounds. It's safe to argue that Russell's 21,620 career rebounds are unbreakable, given that his rebounding numbers are nowhere close to what they formerly were. To elaborate, Russell 5 times finished first in the league in rebounds between 1957 and 1959, and there were 3 consecutive seasons in that. He led the league with 24.1 rebounds per game in 1965 and averaged 24.7 rebounds in 1964. Russell had a run of 10 straight seasons in which he averaged at least 20 rebounds per game. Secondly, Parrish was a member of the Celtics from 1980 until 1994. He averaged at least 10 rebounds 8 times during that time, with an overall total of 11,051 rebounds. That includes the 88-89 season when he averaged 12.5 rebounds per game, a career high. In the third spot is Dave Cowens, who spent 10 seasons as a Celtic. He knows that what would have happened if he had continued to play in the league for a little while longer. Cowens had 8 years in a row at least 13 rebounds per game and at least 15 rebounds per game averages, bringing in 10,170 rebounds altogether. So what about steals? Which Celtic player tops the charts? Talk about a close race race for first place. Pierce recently defeated Larry Bird for the record with a score of 1,583 steals. Pierce's second season in the league saw him average 2.1 steals per game, a career high. Pierce had his best run in his early career when he averaged at least 1.6 thefts per game for 7 consecutive seasons. Prior to Pierce, Bird, who played for the Celtics, averaged 1.7 steals per game, held the record for most career steals, and had an 8-year streak of 1.7 steals per game before dropping to 1.6 in his final year. In 1981 and 1986, 2 seasons in which his team won the championship, he averaged 2 steals. With the Celtics, Rajon Rondo won Defensive Player of the Year 4 times. In 2009-10, he had 2.3 thefts per game, which was the first in the league. In the following year, he averaged 2.3 steals per game again, but did not top the league in this category. Rondo would have reached 1,000 if he had played in a few more games in 2014-2015 before being sent to the Mavericks. Next up, 3-point field goals. Who leads the pack? The team hasn't always been a great shooting three-pointers. Havlicek may have had up to 30,000 career points when he played most of his career without a three-point arc. Bird had the size to fight inside, therefore he wasn't an excellent outside shooter. The franchise's first authentic outside shooter was Paul Pierce, and that is why, with 1,823 made three-pointers, he was doubled Antoine Walker's career total, who sits in the second spot. The highest season total for Pierce was 210. Now, many suspect that Jason Tatum is the player who should and could break this record. Tatum has a 38.3% lifetime three-point shooting rate and is currently sitting at 827 three-pointers made. This season, he ought to surpass the 1,000 three-pointers in his career. When his agreement expires, he will certainly be in the running to break the current record. There's no doubt that Tatum is entering his prime, with lots to come in the future. Now, when it comes to field goals, John Havlicek leads the scoreboard for the Celtics. There's undoubtedly an assumption that you made the most shots when you lead your team in scoring. As previously mentioned, Havlicek had periods throughout his career without the three-point line. Even though it's possible that it didn't totally alter his strategy, it's important to know how many points he scored without making a three-point field goal. Havlicek once had consecutive seasons of 892 and 897 made shots. He made it to 704 times. In total, Havlicek has achieved 10,513 points in his career. Secondly, Bird made 693 of his first shots to begin his career. In the 8 seasons that followed, he made at least 700 shots. After a season marred by injuries, he made 718 shots, giving him 9 career goals. In 1984-85, he had his most outstanding season, making 918 of his attempts. Overall, Bird successfully put away 8,591 points. And last but not least, Pierce earned 600 shots over 5 times while with the Celtics, but his best season came when he made 707 shots in the 2001-2002 NBA season, helping him garner a total of 7,882 points while playing for the Celtics. And finally, free throws, with Pierce taking out once again. According to the stats, Paul Pierce has had a successful career with a lifetime free throw shooting percentage of 80.6, bringing in 6,434 free throws while with the Celtics. He formerly held the league record for both attempts and free throws with 604 out of 753 attempts made during the 02-03 season. With the Celtics, Pierce hit at least 300 free throws 13 times. He hit 400 free throws 8 times, 500 free throws 6 times, and over 600 free throws twice throughout that span. During the 2005-06 season, he made 627 free throws, which was a career high. In the second spot, Havlicek has 5,369 free throws. Now, Havlicek may never have had the most free throws while playing with the Celtics, but despite this, he was extremely amazing at them. He made at least 300 and 400 free throws 3 times and 9 times, respectively. Between 1970 and 1972, when he made 488, 554, and 548 free throws, he had his greatest season. It's unbelievable that a player who hasn't worn a Celtics uniform since 1963 is still ranked in the top 3. Cousy made over 400 free throws in 5 straight seasons and 9 times in a season. Unfortunately, that is all the time we had for today. Make sure to let us know your thoughts in the comments down below. Which stat surprised you the most? What NBA team did you cheer for? And now, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel, and as always, thanks for watching.